Good morning, students. Our lesson today is going to be about the past progressive tense. First of all, the past progressive tense can be named in another name, like past continuous, as we can see here. This tense describes an action that was in progress at some point in the past. So everything that was in progress happening, but at a certain point in the past. Let's look at the examples. Example number one says, my brother was working yesterday at 7. So let's look at the wet part. It says was and working. It is composed out of two words. Was, which is the verb to be in the past, plus the verb plus this ing form that is added. If we are going to use a plural subject like they, we had to change the was into were, and thus it would become they were doing an exam last Friday at 2:30. Two, we can sometimes say use the past continuous to express about two events taking place at the same time in the past. Let's look at this example. It says Ellen was cooking while her sister was watching TV. These two actions were happening at the same time. Ellen was cooking while her sister was watching TV at the same time of the cooking. How do we form the past continuous tense? Let's look at the titles. The title says the subject. The subjects are the pronouns. Some of them are singular, like he and she and it, while the others are plural, you and we and they. And of course, I is special. All of I and he and she and it take was, and all of you, we and they take were. Now, what do we do with the verb? To the verb, to the original verb, to the base form of the verb, we should add the ing part. Like sing would become singing, play would become playing, reading, going, and writing. Thus, we can form such sentences like I was playing, he was singing, she was reading, it was playing. You were writing. We were going. They were reading. Such examples would be appropriate. If we look more, we can not only see the positive form, but also the negative form and the question form. Let's take a look at the negative form first. How do we do the negative form? First, we should add the word not after was or were. Thus, it would become wasn't or was not. And we keep the verb with the ing form. Let's read an example. I was not starting. Or I can simply use the word wasn't. I wasn't starting. You were not starting. Let's look at the examples. I was not sleeping. We were not sleeping. If we look here at the question form, it can be formed, but if we exchange the places of the helping verb to be, was or were, and the subject, we just flip their places. The verb to be comes at the beginning, like for example, was I starting? Was he starting? If you want to use where, we can simply say, were you starting? Were we starting? So, and don't forget that at the end of the question, we should add a question mark, like the examples beneath or down. The past progressive, we usually use the past progressive to describe an action that was in progress at a specific time in the past. Let's look at those examples with the pictures. This is the lady, she is drinking coffee. She said, I was having coffee. And the lady, the second lady, she was eating ice cream. So she was eating ice cream. Now let's take a look at the arrow here. This arrow is called a timeline. There is the past time, now, and the future. 10 a.m. belongs to the past. It means it's before now. That's why we used was having and was eating for the action that was in progress at 10 a.m. In progress, it means taking place and happening. The past in words, in short, the past word continuous tense can be used in positive sentences, negative sentences, and question sentences. Now, let's see the same sentences changed into more than one form. First of all, in the positive sentences, number one, it says you were watching television last night. What about if I want to change that same sentence into negative? You were not watching television last night. I simply added the word not. In the question sentences, were you watching television last night? I simply added the word were at the beginning, and I didn't forget to add a question mark. They were studying math yesterday. They were not studying math yesterday. Were they studying math yesterday? I was washing the dishes when the phone rang. I was not washing the dishes when the phone rang. In the question form, it would be, was I washing the dishes when the phone rang? See, even the way I say the words, say the sentence or pronounce the sentence, it's different. As she was reading the book, Alice came. As she was not reading the book, Alice came. Was she reading the book when they came or when Alice came? It was raining yesterday evening. It was not raining yesterday evening. Was it raining yesterday evening? We want to go back to it, we would simply use the following. If we look at Bob and listen to music when we called him, if I want to use the word listen, I have to look at the subject Bob and see that it goes only with was and with was, but not where. So I simply would write was just this way, was, and then I would write the word listening plus the if you uh, don't mind with this form. Same thing goes for the others. Like I was writing the letter at 7 o'clock. James was walking in the forest when he saw a fox. While we were crossing the street, I lost my bag. Notice that at the end, at the last sentence, I used where with we. Yeah, from this picture is taken from your book, page 35. It is the introduction and the explanation of the word of the tense, the past progressive tense. First, to form the past progressive tense, we use the simple past of verb to be, like was aware, and we add the present participle form, which is the ing form. That's what we call it. We call it present participle. It means we have added ing to it of the main verb. Like, for example, everyone was working to prepare the soccer field. Look at was working at the part where they said was working. It simply was working. Was is the verb to be, work plus ing. For the past progressive tense, we add not after verb to be to form the negative. And reverse, it means flip the places or change the places between the subject and verb to be to ask a question. Let's look at some of the examples. Like, for example, I was not taking a rest under a tree. We added not after was to express the negative form. You were not taking a rest under a tree. We added not after were. Was I taking a rest under a tree? It just reversed the places of the subject and the verb to be. Were you taking a rest under a tree? Same thing I used with were. Let's look at the rules and follow them. They are there in our book, page 35. Use the past progressive tense to talk about actions which continued for some time in the past. Whenever I say some time, it means in progress, because while they are happening, they need time. Of course, I cannot ride a bicycle in 1 second. I need like 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. So I need time to do such an action. The rockers, and this sentence is taken from our lesson, the rockers were washing dogs all day long. So they took time all day long. Use the past progressive tense to express an action that began before another action and probably continued after it. So sometimes we can use the past progressive to express that something happened while something else was or already was happening. As Marianne was washing with a large dog, what happened all of a sudden? A poodle jumped out of the pool. So one action was taking place it was in progress taking place in the past progressive tense, while another just happened suddenly and we put it in the past. Use the past progressive tense to express an action was taking place with another was taking place. So we can use the past progressive tense to express about two actions taking place at the same time. Let us look here. They said that some kids were spreading the grass while others were setting the bleachers in place. And all of these two actions happened at the same time. Use the past progressive tense instead of the simple past tense in descriptions. The sun was shining on the new soccer field. Why? Because it was in progress. I mean, taking a lot of time. Yes, for this is the end of the introduction of the lesson past progressive tense. What do we have to do as an assignment? We should study the rules on page 35 in our book, and we should also write 10 sentences using the past progressive with different subjects. Different subjects, I mean singular, plural, the plural, I, you, they. We can add also like nouns. Uh, to for our sentences, and they should be various. They should be um, different, singular and plural. And that's all for today. Thank you.